Dependency versus team autonomy. And that was a really good topic. I really got into it and I really enjoyed what they were talking about. A lot of times, we as entrepreneurs, especially if you're in the space or a founder of whatever it is, whether it's a business, whether it's a church, whether it's an organization, whatever it is, we are usually, if you're starting from the grassroots, everything's about you. You have to do everything yourself. You have to find the money. You have to find the people. Before you find the people, you have to do everything yourself until you find the people. And you can't find the people if you don't have the money to find the people, to pay the people. So you have to do a lot on your own until you get the help, until you're able to afford the help that you need or get the help that you need, whatever it is. And so many times we start off that way, but we think sometimes we get caught up and we think we have to stay that way. And that's where the issue shows up. Because once you start having people, you can end up wearing yourself out thinking that you still have to do everything yourself. Because again, if you're like me, I don't like to micromanage, but I like things done a certain way. And sometimes put it in somebody else's hands means that you may have to not get it that way. And that could be a problem. So when you're like that, and sometimes you try to take on too much because you feel, well, I'm the only one who can make sure it gets done that way because I can't trust anybody else to do it, which is understandable. But we have to get over that hump because that's the hump that keeps you from growing. That's the hump that keeps you from scaling. Sometimes that's the hump that keeps you from getting people because nobody really wants to be micromanaged to a fault. I mean, you could do a little bit of it, but not too much. And so if we continue to stay in that vein and that mindset, it keeps us stagnant. It keeps us small. It keeps us from growing to the leaps and heights that we could grow to if we just relinquish some of the responsibilities to somebody else. So we were talking about it, and I just wait a minute. I just enjoyed that. Okay, I think I'm trying to find. I just enjoyed it so much. You need to go and check that blog out if you haven't, and just read through it and listen to the podcast that's on there, because they really went into in depth into breaking down all the information, what you need to do, why you shouldn't, why you should not. And I just love I love that. Every week I look forward to seeing that. So as a leader, sometimes you feel, oh, I'm going to do everything and it's going to come out better and it's going to come out faster because I can put it out there and whatever. But sometimes, and you're thinking that's a faster way to get it done. It's literally slower way of getting it done. It's slowing down the process because you can't do everything. And if you're like me, you have to get that in your head. You can't do anything. They had one thing I saw on there, why founder dependency happens. Speed and clarity, trust gap, identity and signaling, skill concentration. So some people think it's going to get done faster. Founders provide clarity and single-threaded execution. The trust gap, early hires often accept founder-driven processes because the founder brought the idea, capital, or customers. And the next one, identity and signaling. The founder embodies mission, brand, and fundraising credibility. Stakeholders expect their involvement. Then skill concentration. Founders often hold unique combinations of product vision, customer relationships, and technical domain expertise. So that's the things that usually causes founder dependency. That's what usually causes it to happen because people have that mindset. It's like, he's the leader or she's the leader extraordinaire. We look to them for the information and and so you focus your attention on them. And if you're not smart enough, you will, or you just forget, you will keep focusing on them and forget that you have a team and the team has expertise. And if you're a wise person, you would build a team around the things that you can do as a founder, not around your same strengths. You have to build them around your weaknesses so that they can compensate for the areas that you don't know how to do. So if you have that and you're not focusing on that, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So that's why it's very important. You can start off that way, and it's good to start out that way and have the vision and do everything else. But once you start getting more people, you need to divide up the work. You need so you can get better. So it can allow you now to free up your space to create more, to get a bigger vision, to see things that you would not see, to even introspect and see how introspect or analyze and see how everything's functioning and figure out, okay, do we need to tweak this here? We need to do this here, because now you can look into it from outside and see what's going on, as opposed to before it was you and you alone. So it's very important to get to that, because so many of us, and we wear ourselves out. I mean, you hear about people, they wear themselves out. And that's one thing I've been working on, not to wear myself out, not to get to a point where you drive yourself into the ground. And so a lot of people, sometimes they get so tired and burnt out, they just drop everything. They just forget it and leave it, abandon everything because it's too much. It gets overwhelming. Or some of them drive themselves into the ground and they end up dying, getting sick and dying, which is a whole other thing by itself. So we have to be very careful. If you're the founder and you have the vision, it's important that you preserve yourself, preserve your skills, preserve your mind, so you can steer everything in the right way, but have everybody else driving it for you. So I don't know how you understand that. Okay. So I thought that was very, very important. So go back and look at that. That's really, really good. There's one scripture that I found, and I was like, what scripture can we find to look into that? And it was more than one, but Exodus 18, verse 14 to 27. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning until evening? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another. And I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. And Moses, his father in law, said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. I mean, he was telling him all these things that he did about God and he led them to God and all that kind of stuff. He said, no, hold on, that's still not good. Thou wilt surely wear away both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. So find out what they need and everything, and then bring it to God and pray about it. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure, and all this people shall also go to their place in peace. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moses, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land. Look at the wisdom that came from where, not even his father-in-law. And he didn't even, I guess he was leading so much. When you get into a position when you had like 3 million people to lead through a desert, you just go into production mode. You just go into productivity mode. You just go into, I got to get this done no matter what. And let me see if I could do this and do that. And you're just doing, and you wear yourself, not even understanding that you're wearing yourself out. But when somebody comes from the outside looking into it, they're like, well, wait a minute, you're doing a bit too much. That's too many people. You can't handle the problems of millions of people. That's a lot of people. And he was able to get the council to designate managers over groups of people and have Moses give them instruction and then have them lead these people. Big matters or gigantic matters, Moses would handle. Regular, mundane, everyday things, the managers would handle their groups. And that's why you get small groups in churches. That's why you have management situations and departments in the business place or whatever. But look at how God can have people instruct you into different things. And especially for people who work in the church or ministry, whatever, and you're doing things for God, you just get into the mode of, oh, I'm doing a good thing because I'm leading them to Jesus and I'm praying over them and I'm doing this. And you could get caught up in what you're doing, not understanding there's a better way to do it. And that's what happened to Moses. He was leading them and he told the father all these wonderful things. And he probably thought he was going to be like, oh, you're doing a great job. He said, this is wonderful, but this is not good. You're not doing it the right way. There's a better way to do it. If you don't change, you're going to wear yourself out. There's no way you can pray and handle the problems and the complaints and the worries of millions of people and not wear yourself out. And so that's what sometimes we have to understand. God has given us the wisdom now to say, I need to get teams. I need to understand teams. I need to get people to do this and to do that and to manage this area so I can get a breather. And that comes with, you have to trust them. They have to understand your vision. You have to be able to impart that vision to them, like write the vision, make it plain that those who see it can run with it. So you have to have all these different things that you have to do so that when you give them the vision, they now have to take the team and run with it. And then you analyze them. That's why we like self-analysis. You analyze what's going on, make sure it's going well. You have your procedures, you have your deadlines, you have things that need to be done. You do a checkup, you do inventory to make sure it's being done, and then you bring it back to the main leader. And if you do that consistently, nobody's worn out because everybody has a task to do. And who would think that God it would be concerned with not what we get done, but how we get it done? Because He wants us to be whole. He wants us to be healthy in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. So it's not just about getting the work done, it's about getting the work done well, efficiently, and making sure everyone is strong so they could do it. Because it's one thing to tell me what to do, but if I can't do it because I'm not strong enough, it's not going to get done. You wear yourself out. Who's going to do what you were doing? And you have to see it like that sometimes because some people say, I got to do that, I got to do this. Yeah, but if you die now doing this same thing you do, wearing yourself out, who's going to do what you were doing? They'll have to find somebody else. And again, your impact will not be felt. So that's why it's good to protect and preserve yourself, preserve your mind. So last week we were talking about self self love. That you work on yourself. You take yourself out. You eat well. You make sure your body, you're exercising. You keep your mind in a healthy space. Meditate on the right things that are lovely, pure, holy, of a good report. If there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. And you have to constantly be telling yourself, training yourself and pulling yourself into the space where I have the mind of Christ. And I have to have the right mindset, not a negative mindset, a positive mindset, knowing that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All these different things are you guarding you're guarding your mind, you're guarding your body to make sure that you're strong enough and whole to do what God has called you to do. Because if you're not there, you can't do it. So might as well get the help you need and get the rest you need. It's very, very important. So I just love this. I really, really, really love this whole topic this week. And I hope you go back and check it out because it will help you determine how to do things, how to get them done well. Is this something that my team can handle? Is this something I can handle? And for you in the spaces I am, where our team is very, very small. It's like very, very small. And now people understand why I'm so happy for this thing they call AI. Let me tell you something. That thing is blessing my spirit. I'm not depending on it totally. I just like the additional help it gives me. And that's how I look at it. It gives me the additional help. I get the information. I get the sales situation. I get the customer service, create the content, all that kind of stuff. And I'm still working on doing better because there's still some stuff I need to do. And I just but it helps. And especially for the entrepreneur that you're just starting, that is space. Yeah, space. It took me a long time I started with part-time a lot. Right now I'm a little more full-time, but still, yes, it's something that's not for the faint of heart. But if you love to create and you love to do, you just keep working at it. And those are the tools you need to help you. So you find people, you find the right tools that can help you do what you need to do. And then when you get the people, you designate. I have some points here. Designate to go higher. Sometimes we feel like designating is, oh my God, they're going to tell me they can't do it. I have to come back and explain 10 million times. I have to do the same thing. That's what one person said. If I have to explain it again, might as well do it myself. And sometimes you get in that space with certain people. But once you get it right, oh yes, appreciate your team and they'll appreciate you in the best way. Founders impartation. Make sure you're imparting your vision accurately to your people. Make sure you're speaking to them and then you ask them, what did I say? To make sure they heard correctly and to make sure that you're imparting the right information and they understand it accurately. Because some people, you give them one thing and they hear some 10 other things over there. And I don't know how that happens, but that's just how the mind and working with different people. So you have to make sure they hear accurately what you're saying. Impart that especially to your leaders, to your team leaders. You have to make sure they have your vision. They have your mindset. They understand the assignment. That's something I've been hearing a lot about. Make sure you understand the assignment. Then empower your team to thrive. Empower them to thrive. Don't make them think they're dependent upon. Tell them, run with it. Take this to a whole other level. Bring this to me so I can see what it is. And then when they make it, you applaud them. You congratulate them. You reward them. You know, some people do like whether it's points or even monetary or more responsibility, just different things so you can reward them and let your team know that, okay, we're allowed to thrive here. There's some jobs where you can't grow in them. And that's something I said I never like with job. Like You have to see the potential. Like, I'm in this position, but how can I grow? How far can I go? If there's no room for growth, not a good space, because everybody's going to end up in a lull and clawing at each other because there's nowhere to go and you get frustrated. So always understand these things. Always allow your team to thrive and let them know you're not afraid of them thriving. You're not intimidated by the thrive. That's the other thing, because some leaders are intimidated by thrive. I mean, it's crazy, but it's true, when they should be applauding it because it's taking them higher, you know? So we have to think about those things. Create the environment for growth and productivity. That's the other part. Sometimes we want growth and productivity, but the environment is not created. There's no, if they grow, they get snapped at. There's no incentive. You haven't incentivized the situation. If you do this, you're going to give you, and not everything does it has to be commissioned, because commission is kind of like an incentivization, but it's not, you don't have to always be that. It could be responsibility, like we said, trips. You know, we take you on you take, dinner or different things like that. You find different little things that you could do to reward your team. And then more responsibility is one of the best ways, because you let them know, okay, you've done this well, to whom much is given, much is required. You've done good with this. Now you can handle a bigger team. And these are things that will help people grow. So these are all ways that you can build on your team and show them you appreciate them. Don't yell. I mean, sometimes you have to get a little yelly, especially in a tight situation, like you have an event that's going on and you want to make sure it's going well and somebody's messing up over there. Sometimes you get in the space. If that happens, apologize immediately. Get yourself together. Get a healthy environment. You don't want a toxic environment, because I've seen some toxic environments and they're not good. People start getting mad. People start getting frustrated. They won't answer you back, but they will leave. And that's the other part, because especially in this country, and anybody got to put up with nothing, really. Land of the free, home of the brave, but they'll do it for a paycheck. But if they get another one down there, they're going to leave. So make sure you have a healthy environment. Have discussion. That's why we have Fava conversation. We want to encourage people to have conversations instead of the hot mess that we see all over the place, like fighting it. Oh my God, I saw some things on the internet and the fights were horrible. And they were girls. I was like, you all are strong. I mean, they were all over the place. And they were not just fighting other girls. They were fighting big grown men. I'm like, well, how? And they were winning. They were winning, some of them. I'm like, what in the world? But it was just these kind of things I think are so toxic. If we sit down and have a conversation, we could probably get a lot of things in. Now, there's some people you can't have a conversation with. Like, what's going on now? Let me leave this alone. If you can't have a conversation, the Bible said the law is for the lawless. That's all I got to say about that. Leave that alone. But if you can, just talk it out and see and get to an agreement. Let them know what you feel. They let you know what they feel, and you just come to and agree to disagree if you have to, or come to a solution. There's always a solution to every problem. But if you don't have the conversation, you can't get there. And that's what the thing is. And when you understand, and especially with teams, you have to make sure you have good communication, because the more people you have, the more problems you have. They say more money, more problems, more people, more problems, because the humans are a hot mess. But God created us anyway. He has good plans for us. Thank you very much. So have the conversation and discuss it so you can see where you could go with it. What can we do? What can we build on? How can we make this better? How can, whenever I look, and there's some people I see like that, and I don't like to mention them because I look from afar at leaders, and I'm very much, I respect leaders who can take their team and lead them to a healthy place, who comes into a situation and makes it better. If you come into the thing and it's a hot mess when you're done, don't like that. But when you come into a situation and you can see they make it better, they make the environment better, they make the air lighter, you see solutions to problems, things are happening. That is the mark of a good leader. And that just blesses my soul, because you hear so much negative all over the place. When you hear somebody doing something good, you're like, I got it. Yeah, I like that right there. I want to be like that person. And so you have to have that focus, and especially for our young people, because there's so much out there. Oh my God. I'm a little older, but not quite as old. But I remember high school. It wasn't too long ago. That's a problem. Too fast. But anyway, I remember high school, and it wasn't too long ago. And in the 90s or whatever. And we were good. I mean, but they already had situations. You heard of the gangs and all the different things going on. But it wasn't the situation that affected us. But today it's like a whole different level, because now they have the internet. So everything that they had, that we had, is now 1,000 times bigger, because they bring it on the internet. and the whole world can find out about it. Whereas before it was just a couple of people here and there. So that is a whole different dynamic. So they're being bullied and all these kind of things are happening to them. So they're committing suicide because it's just a bigger situation for them. So that's why we have to make sure we give them the right examples so they can come up and do better. And a lot of them are doing really good. These influencers, Lord have mercy. I'm like, I mean, I tell you, and I told them they are taking that and running with it. And some of them are doing good, some of them, but some of them are doing good. And we're thankful for that. So that's why I said we now have to be good examples. You want leaders that can be good examples for these people, these kids, because they have so much at their disposal. But if they can't handle it well, we see what happens in the news. And so as a leader, whoever you are, just make sure you build the right team in your companies, in your churches. Now, I have a big affinity for the churches because that's me. I'm a PK. Get the right environment. We're hearing about a lot of things. And I'm one, God's way or no way. That's me. And when I hear people doing things to, especially to young people, and all kind of crazy is going on, I'm like, the leadership, something's wrong with the leadership. You have to pass on God's biblical principles, just like Moses did to his leaders. And then these leaders now have to take care of their teams and make sure they're thriving. If they're not thriving, we need to handle that. And you have to handle that quickly because then it becomes something that God gets blamed for and God is going to step in. And when God steps in, it's a whole other situation. So it's just a wonderful thing to, when you become a founder, you have the vision, but when you start getting people, embrace, and you can look at the Bible. I tell people all the principles we need for life are right in the Bible. We just have to look at them. If you look what Moses did, he did it perfectly. Found the right team leaders to lead the right teams, and you give people, I like how it said thousands, hundreds, 50s, and tens, I think is what it said, because not everybody can handle a large group. Make sure you know who can handle the large group, who can handle the smaller group. You have to differentiate that because not everybody can handle a big group. And so you have to make sure you know your people well and you're giving them constant encouragement and training so they can handle the team. Don't just leave them and say, handle this. Check on them. See how they're doing. Make sure they're doing good so that now you can make sure you have a healthy environment for growth. Healthy organisms grow. If things are not growing, health is not healthy. And you need to go in there and do some pruning or whatever needs to be done to make sure it gets that way. So that's our little thing for this week. Founders, don't be afraid to designate. I'm telling you because I am one like you. Because I have a certain way I like things done. And when people come in and mess it up, I'm like, a little situation happens. So I have to be like, okay, Lynn, you could trust, make sure you find people you could trust and pass this on to them. So they could do this because you can't do it all by yourself. So anyway, that's our thing. Hope you check it out every Friday. Again, remember every Friday at 8 a.m. we have the blog out. Check it out. This week, go back and check it and see. It's just amazing. And I like how the podcast, how they broke it down. Very, very good. Okay. Okay. Now we're going into our stewarded segment. And that's how we go and check into our investments. Now, make sure you're doing this. This is a good time for investing, people. The thing, it went up a bit as a Friday. I think it went up a little bit. Very good. All the different things are happening. We have the war going on. We have the oil situation. I mean, it's a lot, but we're doing good in spite of that. And like we always say here, even if things go down, remember it's the opportunity for you to purchase something on sale. So it's a sale. Have the mindset it's a sale, but make sure you analyze the company, what the company's doing,